Hello everyone and welcome to another match reaction on Football Talk podcast. My name is Ozzy and I'm your host for today's show. Apologies for the delay. I was planning on doing this show last night, but unfortunately I've been a bit under the weather. But hey, we're back and ready to go. We finally got the W, guys. Liverpool turned up and produced a great performance against Tottenham, with the score being 4-2. Slightly disappointed about the 2 goals that we conceded late in the game, but we can touch on that very shortly. But before I begin, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, this is a calling show, so if you'd like to come on and have your say, the floor is yours. The link is pinned in the live chat. So let's dive in and let's begin with the lineups. Let's just have a quick look at the lineups in terms of the team, because I think there's some very interesting team selection for both teams. So let's just quickly share with you guys and we can discuss in more detail. So here we go. Yeah, so let's look at the Liverpool lineup. So, as expected, Alisson started in goal. The back four, pretty much what you'd expected. Always a toss-up between Kwanzaa and Konate in terms of who starts alongside Van Dijk. Kwanzaa got the nod, which I think, looking back, probably the right call. I think in this game, you needed a centre-back that was a bit more calmer on the ball. Konate has been a bit off the rails in recent weeks, so probably understand in terms of why he started. In terms of the midfield, Endo and McAllister, as expected. Elliott was a surprise one for me. I thought maybe Gravenberch could have got the nod to start in this fixture, as he's had a couple of good performances recently. But hey, you can't doubt that selection now after a formidable performance from the young player there. And in terms of the front three that I wanted to see, I know some fans wanted to see Núñez up top. Not for me. I think Gakpo has been the player that's been in form, and he just looks like he's in control of what he's doing, rather than Núñez applying chaos to the opposition. In terms of the Tottenham team, not huge surprise in terms of selection. Firstly, they normally play 4-2-3-1. In this game, they went on a 4-3-3, and you had Emerson Royale playing at left back, which I predicted because of the injury crisis right now. He was woeful, but yeah, that's not our concern. Midfield three was a slight surprise. I thought maybe Madison would have started in this game, but they've gone for a more combat slash industrious midfield three in terms of Saab, Bissouma, and Bentancur. So yeah, they were definitely there to be the engine room of that team and make sure they try and overpower us in some shape or form, which wasn't the case. We definitely played to our own hand and execute some good performance, especially from Elliott, who for me was very pivotal in terms of how we set up as a team, from his pressing and setting up the tempo with his passing as well. So yeah, another great performance from our Liverpool player there. And in terms of the front three, Bernard John on the left, Kulusevski on the right, Son through the middle, as I had predicted. Yeah, Johnson doesn't seem to be very effective on that left-hand side. And yeah, Trent kept him in the basement in that game, to be fair. But we'll touch on individual performances very shortly. So what we'll do now, we'll quickly discuss the key moments of the game. So let's start with the first half. So Liverpool started the game very positively and almost got their rewards in the opening 10 minutes. Harvey Elliott does fantastically well to nick the ball off Sarr. He lays it off to Mohamed Salah, who hits the first time shot with his right foot. Saved by Vicario. Elliott gets on the rebound, but his effort is cleared off the line by Romero. But then moments later, Liverpool managed to open the score sheet. Great play from Gakpo on the left-hand side, who was very calm on the ball, cuts in, lifts the ball in the air towards the far post. Salah is a free man. Emerson Royale was supposed to mark him, but nowhere to be seen. And Salah heads the ball into the back of the net from close range. Keeper did get a hand onto it, but at that sort of range, it's very difficult for a keeper to stop that ball from hitting the back of the net. Liverpool then produced another moment of brilliance. Great team goal. Starts off with McAllister hitting a lovely through ball to Trent. He then hits a low cross into the box. Robertson finds Salah with a nice small pass into the middle of the box. He hits a shot at the goalkeeper, pad away by Vicario. And then Robertson was the first to react, showing his attacking instinct there. and scores from the rebound. And that's his second goal in the last few games. So, we've all been talking about next season in terms of our wingers, or should I say wing backs or fullbacks, chipping in with the goals. And some have questioned Robertson's capability. And look, he's showing a bit of goal scoring form right now. So maybe he got the memo and realized that he needs to chip in. But hey, we'll talk about next season in due course. But in this game, that's the first half. And it was, for me, the first time in a very long time where I was pleased with the performance from the team. And I was encouraged to see what was going to happen in the second half. Normally, when I'm doing my watch-alongs, I'm already talking about who should be coming on. This player's doing terrible, blah, blah, blah. That wasn't the case. I was quite positive. I was like, you know what? Klopp should keep the same personnel. Let's see how it goes into the second half. And it didn't take long for Liverpool to extend their lead. Harvey Elliott lifts a lovely ball in the air for Gakpo. He executes the perfect header into the bottom corner. Great play from Liverpool once again. That cross was quite similar to Gakpo's in the first half. It was just that it was Elliott and he was on the right side. So similar execution. Lovely ball from the player. But this next goal, what a finish it was from our star boy, Elliott. He cuts infield, finds himself just outside of the box in the central area and hits an absolute screamer into the top bins. Sensational goal from Harvey Elliott. And it tipped off his performance. I thought he was phenomenal in this game. And long may it continue in terms of his development, because he's playing in different roles. He's been more of an impact player this season. But I feel like whenever he's given a chance, he does really well for the team. So good for him, and hopefully he continues to notch up more performances and get some goals in similar fashion as well. Liverpool at that stage were 4-0 up. Tottenham make a few changes as they bring on Richarlison and Maddison. And to be fair, both players had an immediate effect on the team. Richarlison, who only seems to turn up when it's against Liverpool, hits the back of the net after a nice low cross from Brennan Johnson, who had to switch over to the right side as he didn't get much luck up against Trent Alexander-Arnold on the left. But then moments later, they added another goal to their tally. Richarlison lays the ball off to Son, who's pretty much near the penalty spot, hits the ball into the back of the net, bottom corner. Nice finish there from the Tottenham striker. And I can't lie, I was very disappointed to see us concede 2 late goals. It's fair to say that we probably switched off slightly, but that's not an excuse. We need to show better game management, as you can't give away those silly type of goals against an opposition like Tottenham. I never felt for a moment that we were in trouble, but having said that, it took away the gloss of the win for me, as Tottenham are a good team. Let's not beat around the bush. Beating them 4-0 would just sounded a lot sweeter, but hey, it is what it is. So the game ends 4-2. That's the match review. Overall, very pleased with the team performance, and I hope it continues into the next 2 fixtures, as we may not be fighting for the title, but we need to end the season on a high for our manager, Jurgen Klopp. For me, he deserves a nice end-off before he departs the club, and the only way to do that is to get some wins on the board. So that's my review there. Just going to check the comments here. He says, comment here from Patrice. He said, what's good, Ozzy? What's good? So I'm all good. Thank you, Patrice, for your comment. Appreciate you joining the show. So here we are now. Let's do the player ratings. As I mentioned, this is a calling show as well. So if you'd like to come on and have your say, and I'm doing it at a bit of an unusual time, but if you're watching live, the floor is yours. There should be a link pinned in the live chat. And once I've done my player ratings, I'll get you on very, very shortly. So let's start with the player review. There we go. Here's the graphics for you guys. So let's start with Alisson. In terms of his performance, I don't think he had a bad performance. So just take into context in terms of what score I give him. Yeah, I think he had a decent performance in terms of what he did as a goalkeeper. He wasn't very busy, to be fair. First half, I think they barely had a shot on goal. Second half, made some routine saves. In terms of the 2 goals that we conceded, I wouldn't blame the goalkeeper whatsoever. The first one with Richarlison, it was just a clever flick over the keeper. Richarlison knew Alisson was going to come in, so he reacted just a second earlier. And don't really save those type of shots. It's just you have to give credit to attacker, even though he's a pigeon, but it is what it is. And in terms of the second goal, yeah, Richarlison held the ball really well. Maybe you would say, oh, Alisson should have got the ball off Richarlison, but it was such quick pace in terms of how it happened. And as I mentioned earlier, the ball was literally on the penalty spot for Son to execute. hitting the bottom corner with finesse. You don't really save those shots, especially from such point blank range. Very difficult to blame the keeper. So for me, he wasn't at fault for the 2 goals, but his general play for me was good. So I'll give him a 7 out of 10 on the basis that, oh, sorry, it says 6, 7 out of 10 on the basis that he wasn't very active in this one. So I can't give him a higher rating. You know, if he made a couple of saves, then obviously it would increase to his overall rating. But I think a 7 is still a solid score. So yeah, drop a comment. Let me know if you disagree. In terms of fullbacks, let's start with Trent. I thought Trent was very good in this game, to be honest with you. From a defensive point of view, very good. He had to go up against Son quite a few times. Son would switch over to left channel quite a bit, and I feel like he handled him really well. Brennan Johnson, yeah, unfortunately he's missing right now because I feel like he's still in Trent's pocket. So yeah, he definitely kept him out of the game. Defensively, very good. Made some good blocks as well. From an attacking point of view, I thought he was passing was very positive. And yeah, I was very impressed with his overall performance. A good, solid performance from a right back because people question his performances when from a defensive point of view. He can't do it. It's just that there's certain elements of his game where he's not very strong at. So for me, one-on-one duels is where he struggles, especially against elite wingers, which is no shame. He's a defender, so in that sort of situation, you always give the attacker the advantage, isn't it? So I feel like there's too much sort of Microsoft on in terms of his defensive duties, but I feel like he can still do a job. Me personally, I want to see him in midfield next season. So it remains to be seen what his future role is at the club, especially with a new manager coming in. But in terms of his performance against Tottenham, very, very impressed. Very good performance from him. So I'm going to give him a solid 8 out of 10. Kwanzaa, for me, had a good performance. I was very impressed with his ball carrying ability. There was moments where he had skipped past a couple of players. Passing was nice and clean, and made some good tackles. Made one good block on Son early in the first half as well. Fortunately for one of the goals, I have to say I feel like he was at fault for just letting Richard. It wasn't Richardson, was it? It was that Richardson goal where he just let him through. Um, so yeah, there's still sort of elements to his game where I feel like he switches off a little bit, but he's young. He's 20 years old, so he is going to take a bit of tuning as he gains more game time and more experience. Playing alongside Van Dijk, he'll learn the game a lot quicker than the normal rate at that sort of age for a defender. So for me, no, I wouldn't say it's completely at blame for that goal, but I do feel like his marking wasn't quite there. So I'm going to give him a 7.5 out of 10. And Van Dijk, yes, even for I think it was the second goal as well. Not the second, the first goal where Van Dijk pretty much kept Richarlison on side. So positionally wasn't the best. But I think in terms of Van Dijk's general place, I thought he was a bit more assertive in this one. And distribution was okay. It wasn't really pinging in long balls as such. Slight concern that we've not had a clean sheet for like a couple of months. So yeah, doesn't look good from a defensive point of view. But I think generally he was solid on his own merit there. So I'll give him an 8 out of 10. Robertson was on the score sheet firstly, so plaudits to him. But in general, I thought, was very good defensively. Yeah, he wasn't really. Puro gave him havoc, even though Puro is the right back, but he was bombing down that right hand side quite a lot. Puro had a bit of success, but that was more from long range passes rather than beating Robertson one-on-one or anything to that nature. Kulusevski was a bit MIA, so yeah, that's a Tottenham problem. That's nothing for me to allude on right now. But I thought he was solid, and obviously for me, the goal is sort of the cherry on the top in terms of his performance. I'll give him an 8 out of 10 as well. Thinking maybe Van Dijk deserves a bit of a lower rating, but we'll leave it for now. Endo for me had a good performance. He was very good. Yeah, passing range was good. Definitely sprayed the ball around. Didn't play for too long. Got substituted in the second half, but I thought it was positive. Could have been a bit stronger in the tackles for me. There was a couple of times where Tottenham midfielders got the best of him, but generally solid performance. I can't fault him for too much in this game. So I'll give him 7.5 out of 10. McAllister probably had a below par performance to his high standards, unfortunately. He looked fatigued, um, which probably goes down from playing a lot of games for Liverpool, but also I know the World Cup was quite a while ago, but I feel like he's been on a roller coaster where he's been playing so many games for club and country. Maybe it's taking its toll on him a little bit right now. So no, I think he was decent. I think that through ball that he applied to Trent that led to Robertson's goal was an exquisite pass. But his pass in general was a bit off. It wasn't the best during the game. So I think he had a solid game, but not the best to his standards. So unfortunately, I'm going to give him a slightly low rating of 7 out of 10. Now, Harvey Elliott. What more can we say about this kid? Fantastic performance. Definitely for me, by far, his best performance in a Liverpool shirt. He was everywhere. He was fantastic. What impressed me the most, obviously, the goal was an absolute screamer, and we'll probably be watching that goal for days in terms of replays. But I was very impressed with his off-ball play, where he was pressing from the front, never really gave the defense or the midfielders any time of day. Nicked the ball off them quite a few times. He set the tempo for the team and really drove the team. And they had a good relationship with Salah on that right side as well. Produced some good passes. So yeah, I was overall, his pressing was so impressive, and then the interceptions that he made whilst he was doing those pressing was fantastic. So yeah, very impressed with his performance. Got a goal, which absolute screamer, as I just mentioned. Also got an assist for Gakpo's goal. A lovely ball from the edge of the right side of the box, and then you had Gakpo nodding it in. So no, solid performance. 10 out of 10. I think that was a great performance from Elliot. Really, really good. A performance that I feel like the neutral fans will definitely notice, or it'll come to attention. Be like, okay, do you know what? Maybe they got to play in their hand, because I don't think he gets the respect or the plaudits from other fans. I feel like this performance will probably be sort of like a landmark of, all right, do you know what? Against Tottenham, he was fantastic. So hopefully he can, keep going and take it from here in terms of producing good level performances. Next season's going to be a big season with a new manager coming in. So right now, all these games that we've got left, the last 2 games, might not believe it, but it's a game to showcase your ability to the new manager as well, because the manager will be already thinking in terms of bringing in new additions in the summer. So he's not going to wait entirely until they meet up for preseason. He might be planning ahead before the players meet together in training camp. So for me, these are the type of games where you showcase your talent. Elliott's shown that he can play as a right-sided number 8. He can play right wing as well. I think his natural position is probably a 10. If Arne Slot is the next manager, which is very strong rumors, or it's kind of like a big secret that hasn't been revealed yet, he normally plays a 4-2-3-1 and it has a variation of a 4-3-3. So Elliott could definitely occupy both positions, whether he's playing as a number 8 or as a number 10, or even as a right winger. So Elliott will definitely play a big part in how the team is next season. And look, I like the fact that we have a player who comes off the bench and makes an impact in every game. I mean, he's done that a lot this season, and he's still learning the game. Kind of like how Foden was embedded into the City team, where he didn't start every game, but he was slowly embedded in terms of learning the philosophy of the manager and slowly understanding his role a bit more. It's all good, being if you're a striker, you know what your aim is, right? But he's playing a role where he's not naturally playing as a disciplined midfielder. So he's learning to the defensive element as well as being tactical, aware of where to be positioned and when to attack and when to defend. So he's still within that sort of development stage right now. Only 21 years old, I believe. So yeah, he's got a lot of growth coming in the next couple of years. And I feel like we've got a good player at Liverpool with Harvey Elliott. So yeah, very impressed with how he performs. And for me, this performance was a 10 out of 10 performance for me. So yeah, maybe called me a bit far-fetched with that one, but I feel like he just fully deserves it. Now, in terms of Mohamed Salah, a much better performance. Obviously, the draw against West Ham, the result was covered or highlighted by the touchline incident, it wasn't a big deal. It was, for me, blown out of proportion. Because it was Klopp and Salah, oof, it became a big hoorah, of a talking point amongst us football fans. But for me, no, it was just not a big deal. He was emotionally charged because he didn't start the game, but then I think he was brought on very late as well. So that probably led to that kind of reaction. But hey, they squashed the beef, It's not Drake or Kendrick kind of levels, but yeah, they dealt with it as adults, and yeah, they moved on. Simple as that. Kept it professional, and look, Salah starts the game, and for me, it was fantastic. He definitely was more involved in the build-up play, which is kind of questioned in terms of his input, I would say, this season. But I feel like he's heading into a new direction as a player where he's not going to be that player where he gets the ball and drives past 2, 3 players. I think he's adapting, or he's learning to adapt in a different way of playing now, where he's more efficient and more effective on the ball rather than just running around headlessly, because he doesn't have the energy levels. He probably does, but he doesn't need to, you know, put his body through that at this stage of his career. So for me, he's learning to be more of a playmaker, and whenever he's in a good scoring position, he can execute shots clinically from different angles. So I feel like, this game was perfectly suited for him, where he had a fullback who didn't really know how to play left back. He was a bit all over the place. Even though he was a right-footed defender, he couldn't really stop Salah from doing anything, and it actually suited Salah because Salah would cut in more. And with the defender not having good awareness of his position, he ended up having an extra yard on him. So very impressed with Salah. Got himself a goal, got an assist. He had a woeful miss towards the end of the game with his right foot. Don't know what he was thinking there, but hey, we'll let him off the mark on that one. But in terms of his performance, I think he deserves a solid rating, so I'll give him an 8.5 out of 10. Gakpo, I was very impressed with Gakpo's performance. Some fans are still a bit on the fence with him in terms of his ability or quality for this Liverpool team. I feel like he's a player that can play in different roles and has just been lacking confidence this season, especially the last 2 or 3 months. He was quite woeful, and I said it on record. I wasn't impressed with his performance. I feel like he needed to show more urgency, more aggression in his play, and he actually did that, and he's applied that in the last few games, and that's why he's been given starting roles recently. So credit to him, credit for him in terms of working hard for himself and working hard for the team. In this game, he got himself an assist, great ball towards Salah, and then Salah nodded it into the back of the net, and the goal as well, great ball from Harvey Elliott, and he applied the header as well. So, he's quite a tall player, so he needs to use his height to his advantage a bit more. So I feel like that's definitely a key area for him to improve on. And yeah, the future's interesting for Gakpo because, I'm sure we're all really planning in terms of who should stay, who should leave. I definitely don't put him in that bracket of a player that should be leaving. He's interesting for me because if it is on the slot, which, let's not be random, but it's most likely to be the next Liverpool manager, I plan a 4-2-3-1 formation. It will suit Gakpo where he can play as a number 10, can play as a left-sided winger, which I feel like is his natural position, looks very comfortable there. I can also play up top as well. So, Dutch connection there. So when I say Dutch connection, not just based on nationality, I think he'll understand the coach's methodology a little bit better, and he'll be a bit more sharper in terms of learning the tactics that he wants to play, because it will be very similar to what he's used to back in his homeland. So Gakpo has a big future at the club, in my opinion. And I feel like his selections recently have been fully justified. Whenever Nunes has come on or has played in the last few weeks, yeah, it has been woeful. I'm not just jumping on the bandwagon because it's Darwin Nunes, but I've not been impressed with him. And for me, I feel like we do need to sign a striker next summer. But another conversation for another day. Back to Gakpo. I thought he was fantastic in this game, so I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. Luis Diaz had a good game. I just think in terms of his overall input or end product, didn't really lead to anything, so wasn't involved in the goals. There was that moment of play where he played more centrally, and I feel like he was quite ineffective in that role. That's when Gakpo shifted over to the left. Gakpo looked effective in left side or in the middle. So that shows in terms of his contribution to the team. And it's probably why I've given Gakpo a 9 out of 10 there. But in terms of Diaz, he definitely had Pedro Porro on toast where he had to really defend. I feel like that definitely reduced Porro's influence in the team. He did have some good range of passing where he tried to set up some balls for Son, but generally because of Diaz's positive outlook, Porro had to drop back a little bit more than he would normally or probably wanted to do in this game. So that's great to Diaz in terms of showing aggression and persistence in his play, especially in the wide areas. So for me, he gets a good rating. I'll give him a 7.5 out of 10. And that is my rating for Liverpool team, guys. So if you're watching live, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Now, in terms of the man of the match, it's quite obvious to see who that will be based on the rating. But obviously, whoever that is, Harvey Elliott. 10 out of 10 performance for me. Got himself a goal and assist. And yeah, tipped off a fantastic performance. So before we wrap up, I will also speak very quickly on the substitutes. All 5 came on, but I'll be honest, none of them really had much contribution to the team. But let's touch on it anyway. So Joe Gomez came on for Robertson. And then we had Bajcetic, who made his long-awaited return. He was brought on for Endo. And then Gravenberch came on for McAllister. And then we have Nunes for Diaz. And then the final substitution was Szoboszlai for Harvey Elliott. Szoboszlai. So let's start with Joe Gomez. So yeah, unfortunately for the first goal, I have to say I think he was at fault. I don't want to say directly at fault, but he was, because his marking of Brennan Johnson wasn't great, gave him too much space, and then that through ball by Bissouma left him out, and Brennan Johnson had that extra yard ahead of him. And I feel like if he was defending a bit more tight or was a bit more aware of Brennan Johnson, he would have been able to make a block of that cross. So unfortunately, I'm going to probably label as Joe Gomez at fault for that goal. And after that, pretty much kept it simple, but he looked very uncomfortable in certain moments of play. That's because when he came on, Tottenham had sort of like a resurgence in terms of a new level since Maddison and Richarlison came on the pitch. So I feel like, unfortunately, he was a victim of that. And yeah, they just didn't seem to have we didn't seem to have that consistency or balance when the subs came on as well. So that's why I feel like a lot of the subs didn't really have much impact in our overall game, which is probably why we conceded a couple of goals, because the energy level dropped a little bit as well, in my opinion. So for his rating, I'm going to give him a 4 out of 10. Sounds harsh, but this is how I see it. Stefan Bajcetic came on, first return. I believe it must be his first appearance in the Premier League. I know he made a couple of appearances in the Europa League very early on in the campaign, but I don't think he made a Premier League appearance. So yeah, let's say it's his first appearance. Yeah, he looked rusty, very, very rusty. He looked lightweight as well, which I don't remember him being like that when he burst into the scene, as they say, last year. But maybe that was because we had a midfield that were full of tireless legs, and he just looked like a good player out of a bad bunch. So, and that's not me trying to be disrespectful. That's just me trying to figure out, the hype around Bashir, because I liked what I saw from him, but I didn't think he was going to be a starter or anything. I just thought he was going to be a good squad player for us and a player that can develop and improve. But this season, unfortunately, injuries have hampered that development and progression in the team. And yeah, in this performance, I wasn't impressed. His first touch was a bit off. Looked weak on the ball. A couple of moments where he just couldn't control the football at times. So no, he looked pretty rusty, if I'm being brutally honest. Um, don't mean to be harsh, but I'm going to give him a 4 out of 10. I wasn't impressed with his performance. Lacking fitness, clearly. But yeah, just not the player that I remember seeing last season. So maybe harsh just from seeing a cameo. But I've seen fans online that are saying he should be the number 6 for us next season, first choice. So this is where my thinking is coming. Where I don't see that happening at all. But that's just my opinion. On to the next player. Let's go with Gravenberch. He was okay. He looked off the a bit off the pace a little bit as well. Maybe it's because when he came on, the game definitely played at more of an intense speed. I think he was probably expected to come on as a bit more laid back, a bit more controlling because we were falling up. And obviously, when he came on, conceding goals didn't help. So I thought it was a little bit off. Passing, made a couple of misplaced passes here and there, but nothing too alarming for me to give him a very low rating. So I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. So Bosley came on late on in the game. The contribution that I remember him having was he was through on goal and had a shot that missed the target. A confident Szoboszlai would have hit across goal and probably would have scored. He's just been a bit gun shy in the last few months in front of goal. Normally, he's very instinctive with his shots. Right now, I feel like he's thinking too much. He's thinking, should he cross, should he shoot? So he's not playing with much freedom or playing with natural ability, unfortunately. So that's probably come down to being in and out of the team quite a lot, especially since the turn of this year. And I feel like, yeah, he's probably hoping for the season to end quickly so he can rest, have a holiday, and then come back with a new, fresh output. Because right now, I feel like the injury is definitely taking its toll on him. He probably wasn't expecting to work as hard as he has been in this team. Unfortunately, in other teams, he's given more license to roam around and be more of an attacking focal point rather than being a player that covers ground for inverted fullbacks, etc. So no, I still have faith in Szoboszlai. I know if you watch my earlier shows, I was raving about him at the start of the season. I even said he's the next De Bruyne. So yeah, definitely a premature comment there. But for me, I feel like he has elements to his game where he can really become a top midfielder in the league. So I still stand by that. Let's hope, it comes to fruition next season. But in terms of this performance today, didn't do anything bad, didn't do anything great. So I'll just give him an average rating of 5. Darwin Núñez. Yeah, he wasn't active in this game, to be fair. I only noticed him, I think, in the last few minutes. And I feel like he didn't have a touch of the ball for quite a long period of his cameo. He's just ineffective. And let me know in the comments, guys. If you're watching live right now, you can put your comment in the chat or drop a comment if you're watching on replay. I've lost faith in Darwin Núñez. And that's quite like a bold statement to make. I just don't think he's the guy that we all wanted or expected to see from him. He's shown great improvements, I'll say, this season in terms of his link-up play. But the key or the core element of his game hasn't improved, and that's his finishing. And I feel like sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. I read the stat earlier on, or I think I saw on one of the shows that I've been watching recently, where the stat was that he scored 11 goals in like 100 or so chances. That's like 1 in 10. That's not good. That is awful from a striker. We grew up, looking at stats where, your favorite striker probably had back in there probably like 1 in 2 and 1 in 3, 1 in 3 or 1 in 4. If you had 1 in 4, you'd question his ability as a striker. He's got 1 in 10 or 1 in 11. That's outrageous. So for me, he's not an elite striker, and he shouldn't be a striker that leads this Liverpool line, this team, in my opinion. So for me, we all ask this question, Taylor, what should be this transfer strategy next year? Who should we target? Number one for me has to be a striker, and that's brutally honest. I feel like Darwin Núñez, for me, his days are numbered. the other day he removed Liverpool pictures on his account. I think that might have been down to the abuse that he receives from some fans. Which, look, I'm in front of you right now on screen. I'm telling you, he didn't have a great game, but that's as far as it goes. It doesn't go further than that. I can only talk about what I see on the pitch. I don't have any personal issues with Nunes, which would be quite hypocritical of me because I've applauded him when he's had good games as well. So, you know, for fans to go at him on a personal level, it's just ridiculous and shameful in terms of their behavior, because that's not how you should behave. I know social media is one of those things where, you know, people can hide behind a profile pic and say what they want. That's not acceptable, because in society, you know, if you spoke to someone like that in their face, you'd get a certain reaction for sure. So no, in terms of his Liverpool future, look, if he stays at the club, that's fine. I don't really have any qualms with that. But for me, we definitely need to upgrade that position. And even Gakpo, who's had a decent game and has shown good glimpses of his level in recent performances, I feel like we need someone better. I feel like we need a clinical number 9 up top. Gakpo can play left wing or number 10. Nunes could be back up, but then I like Jota as well. But Jota, for me, we just can't trust him to be the man that, you know, leads the attack for us, because he's so injury prone, unfortunately. So he's a player that's always going to be a player off the bench, in my opinion. So it's between Nunes and Gakpo, who takes the sort of lead. For me, I'd rather sign a top quality striker and maybe part ways with Nunes. That's just my thoughts. Drop a comment, let me know what you guys think. I feel like we need to upgrade on Nunes, and there's a few players out there. You know, we'll touch on it, I guess, on another transfer show and speak about in more detail. You know, we've got off season coming soon, so yeah, definitely more transfer related shows coming up. And yeah, so that's my opinion. But in terms of this performance, yeah, he was MIA for most of the time, so I'm gonna give him 3 out of 10, and that's me being generous. Most players would probably get a 1 or 2 for that, but I'll let it be, so it doesn't appear like I have an agenda on him. But yes, so that is a wrap of the show. So thank you to everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll be back later this evening at 10 p.m. as I'll be doing a match week 36 review. So all the games that have been played over the weekend, plus the matches from yesterday. We'll discuss it in that show. So make sure to join me tonight and hit that notification bell so you know when I'm going live. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to see you all later this evening. Goodbye.